Welcome once again, indomitable travelers from distant lands. Sit back and relax as we peer into the realms of the mighty wizard, Xendisabu. When we left our wizard last, he had just finished the construction of an immense depot to address his burgeoning storage needs. The depot was built without the help of his perpetually tired companion's assistance, because Xendisabu decided to let Bastivar get some extra sleep. But Bastivar thought to tackle another project on his own. Thus, after Xendisabu quietly left to begin construction on the depot, Bastivar began scheming. Planning for the new and sorely needed Port Authority building.
Exactly. The port is a mess. And just like the storage situation, that mess can easily be given bureaucracy to make it officially in order. I'd say that is something Xendisabu isn't likely to tackle anytime soon.
And thus it was that Bastivar spent his morning planning another building while Xendisabu was away. Later that day, Bastivar packed the necessary supplies from the warehouse in Whisperwind and snuck over to the plot of land he'd selected between the Grand Library and the storage depot.
This will be the perfect location to add a little red tape to the lives of the importers and exporters of goods. I'll drop off all the supplies in some chests along the side and then prepare the building's foundations.
By the time Bastivar arrived at his construction site, Xendisabu had already completed the supply depot and was enjoying the vistas from atop a crow's nest of a departing cargo vessel.
The world seems so much calmer from up here. The breeze in one's beard, the sun glinting across the water, the foundations of a new building magically materializing. Wait, what?
Xendisabu's eyes twinkled with amusement as he watched his familiar setting up the building materials, casting occasional glances over his shoulder as if to make sure he wasn't being watched. Of course, Bastivar was completely unaware that the wizard's curiosity had been piqued.
A little enchantment here, a little stabilization charm there. The Port Authority building is going to bring such order to this chaos. Why, Xendisabu will be so impressed when it's done. No more wild, unsorted deliveries or misplaced shipments. And best of all, he won't even know it was me until it's finished. I'll surprise him.
But the surprise was all his. For as Bastivar was completing the foundations, a shadow fell over the site. Slowly he turned, his paws clutching an enchanted shovel.
Going on without me, are we? Oh, Bastivar, you never cease to amaze me. Always one step ahead, always scheming. A Port Authority building, you say? Well, it's not a bad idea at all. In fact, it might be just what we need. But you've clearly bitten off quite a lot of work. Shall we finish it together?
I mean, I suppose if you want to help, I wouldn't object. But I had everything under control.
And so, the wizard and his familiar set to work, side by side. Xendisabu conjured stone walls with a flick of his fingers, while Bastivar, despite his earlier bravado, found himself quite happy to let the wizard do the heavy lifting, literally. Under their combined efforts, the Port Authority building rose quickly, its offices forming neat rows that overlooked the bustling port outside.
I must admit, you've got a keen sense for placement. Between the library and the depot, a perfect spot. We'll have clerks filing reports and merchants signing contracts by the dozen. It'll be just as busy inside this building as it is out there.
Yes, well, bureaucracy has its charm. The more signatures and ledgers, the better. I'm sure the shipping guilds will love the endless paperwork.
By the time the sun began to set, the building was nearly complete. Xendisabu waved his hand, sealing the last stones in place, while Bastivar carefully inscribed the nameplate, Port Authority. He gave it a satisfied pat. And so it was that the Port Authority came to be, not through the grand design of Xendisabu alone, but through the clever scheming of a familiar who, though often underestimated, had the ambition to shape the world around him. Together, they would ensure that the port would never again be plagued by disarray. With a little red tape, a touch of magic, and a partnership as enduring as the stones of the building itself, order was brought to the chaos of the docks.
Now, about that next project.
With the Port Authority now standing proudly between the Grand Library and the supply depot, it was time for its first tenants to move in. And so the most prominent shipping companies of the realms came forward, eager to stake their claim in the newly minted bureaucracy. The first to arrive was Hilshire Harbour's shipping company, led by the famous Agu Granda. A man of broad shoulders and a knowing gaze, Agu had spent decades mastering the treacherous sea routes between the Eastern Isles and the mainland. With a cheerful voice, Agu strode into the Port Authority, immediately making himself at home.
At last! A proper office where I don't have to negotiate shipping manifests on the back of a rum-stained map. This port is finally stepping into the future.
Not long after, the representatives of Hireth Transport, a company specializing in rare and exotic cargo from distant lands, arrived. Their swift fleet of airships was renowned for navigating perilous skies to deliver goods from the edges of the known world. At their head was Captain Celine Varis, a woman as mysterious as the moonlit sea. Clad in a coat embroidered with silver thread, she carried a dagger always within reach.
Efficient record-keeping, secure contracts. I must admit, I didn't think I'd live to see the day the port embraced organization. We'll see if it holds against the tide of chaos.
Glacier's Run Shipping Consortium, the third company to claim a place within the Port Authority, represented the frostbitten north and a trade network that braved the frozen seas to bring in rare pelts, enchanted ice, and other glacial wonders. Their leader, the stoic Ingrid Torsdotter, was as unshakable as the permafrost itself. She stepped into the Port Authority with a fur-lined cloak draped over her shoulders, her boots leaving faint traces of frost as she walked.
We do not waste words where I come from, nor do we waste time. Show me where the ledgers are, and let us be done with it.
And finally, 100 Rivers Maritime, named after the lands far beyond the western horizon. Their fleet was built to withstand both fire and storm, their hulls reinforced with enchanted ironwood to endure the roughest seas. Their captain, Renji Zhao, was a legend in his own right, known for daring expeditions into uncharted waters. His arrival was heralded by the scent of charred spices and the glow of an ever-burning lantern hanging from his belt.
Paperwork, regulations, and office walls, confining things for a sailor. But if it keeps our dealings smooth, I suppose I can play along.
And so, with the finest merchants and captains gathered under one roof, the Port Authority was truly open for business. Bastivar, perched on the central desk with a ledger half his size, watched with satisfaction as the gears of bureaucracy began to turn.
Order! Sweet, sweet order!
But let it be known that many rooms remain unspoken for. Empty offices await the daring, the ambitious and the cunning, those who would leave their mark upon the tides of commerce and the winds of fortune. Have you perhaps crossed paths with a legendary captain whose name echoes across distant shores? Or imagined a shipping company destined to sail the unknown? If so, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Who knows? Your suggestion might soon find its place within these bustling halls. Thank you, traveller, for accompanying us on this journey. It is our sincere hope that you enjoyed your time here enough to watch once more, when next our realms align. If so, please like, subscribe and choose to be notified on your magical devices when our story continues. But for now, farewell.